Did Blake Lively's lawyer quit after Justin Baldoni fights back with $400 million lawsuit?
Blake Lively just lost her lawyer, and the reason is way bigger than anyone expected. Rumors are swirling that a massive Marvel-related scandal is at the heart of her rapidly collapsing reputation. And here's where it gets crazy. Even her own attorney wants nothing to do with it. How deep did Blake go to land herself in this career-threatening disaster? We're breaking down every shocking twist, every behind-the-scenes detail, and exactly why this might be the biggest scandal of her career.
Subheading really nails the author's grievance. Says the death of Me Too and embrace of patriarchal ideals isn't coming from politics, it's coming from women online. Basically, women doing other women dirty.
Stay tuned because this shocking twist might be just the start of Blake Lively's worst nightmare. She's created a massive scandal that no one can ignore. Standing in front of the cameras with a smug look, she acted like she was untouchable, as if her fame alone would make people believe whatever she said. But reality hit hard. Instead of getting a free pass, Piers Morgan and the entire internet turned against her, calling out what they see as her biggest mistake yet.
Big mistake. You see, she paints Blake Lively as the victim. Not a victim of Baldoni, although I'm sure she believes that, but the victim of other women who are ruining Blake's reputation for daring to accuse a man of...
They called her out for every shady move she tried to pull, and it completely backfired. Now, it seems like she has no clue how to fix the mess she created. From the very beginning, Blake acted like she was running the entire movie set, even though she was just supposed to be an actress. She took over the script, demanded control of the costumes, and tried to make changes that weren't hers to make. And when things didn't go her way, she pulled her famous, ultra-rich husband, Ryan Reynolds, into the drama, hoping his influence would force everyone to fall in line.
So, no, the evidence at this point is overwhelming. Blake is the toxic aggressor in this instance.
She probably thought that with Ryan's big name and deep pockets, no one would dare to push back. But that plan completely fell apart when the truth started to come out. The real battle started with Justin Baldoni, the film's director. Blake accused him of misconduct and even filed a lawsuit against him. But the details didn't quite add up. She assumed people would blindly take her side without digging deeper. But when key facts surfaced, her story started to crumble.
She kept holding up production with fake illnesses. She made narcissistic demands for control. She threatened the studio and Baldoni if they didn't comply, saying she would not promote the film.
People began to question whether Blake was just manipulating the narrative to get her way. It seemed like she was frustrated that Justin refused to hand her full control of the film. When he didn't bend to her demands, she retaliated with serious accusations, without much solid evidence to back them up. From there, she launched a public campaign, painting herself as the victim and trying to win over the court of public opinion.
A public statement written by she and Ryan for Baldoni. Here, we wrote this for you, just sign your name and put this out, taking all the blame for every problem we've had. He wouldn't do it.
She fed exclusive stories to major newspapers, hoping they'd portray her as the innocent party. But instead, they raised even more doubts about her claims. It turned out she was editing text messages to make Justin look like the villain, removing emojis, context, and key parts of conversations to twist the narrative in her favor. Then, she played the victim, acting as if Justin had treated her horribly. But he didn't stay silent. He released the full messages, exposing how she had manipulated the truth.
Blake made a complaint full of lies. She bit his lip in that, one scene where she said that hers was bitten. Then the video comes out, it's hers, in every ounce.
Some messages even revealed Blake praising Justin's work on the movie, words she never wanted the public to see. This was just the beginning of her downfall. Piers Morgan, known for exposing celebrity hypocrisy, quickly caught on to the inconsistencies in her story. He saw how Blake was using the media to play the victim, carefully crafting a narrative to make herself look like the hero. But the truth was starting to unravel. Piers recognized her tactics, twisting the story, hiding key details, and assuming her status would protect her from scrutiny. But this time, the public wasn't so easy to fool.
She called him into the trailer while she was pumping milk. The texts show it.
Piers didn't hold back. He called Blake out on live TV, pressing her on why she kept changing her story, why she was only sharing half-truths, and why she acted like she was completely innocent. Blake didn't take it well. She threw a fit, scrambled to rewrite the narrative, and kept playing the victim card. But by then, the damage was done. The truth was out, and no amount of backtracking could undo the fallout.
She said he walked in, he was creepy. He and the other guy, Jamie Heath, the other producer. No, you said in the text, come in.
Blake tried to use her friendship with Taylor Swift as a shield, dragging Taylor's name into the mess to make it seem like she had her support, but insiders quickly shut that down. Taylor wanted nothing to do with the lawsuit drama. She saw right through Blake's tactics and distanced herself, refusing to be used as a pawn. That was yet another hit to Blake's reputation. If she were smart, she would have stepped back and stayed quiet. But, of course, she did the exact opposite.
At every turn, it's not going her way. She claimed there were complaints by other actresses to Sony. Sony says no, we didn't get any other complaints.
Blake didn't back down. Instead, she doubled down on interviews and PR efforts, pushing her claims as if she were leading a crusade for justice. But there was a problem. Official court documents told a different story. Her version of events kept shifting, and she struggled to explain why she demanded years of Justin Baldoni's private records if she already had solid evidence. She wasn't just asking for emails about the movie, she wanted everything. To many, this was a clear sign that she had nothing concrete and was desperately searching for anything that could make him look bad.
She put an innocent guy on blast in a civil complaint filed with the state of California. 2 days later, with her publicist, allegedly, and most obviously, they colluded with the New York Times to ruin Baldoni.
It looked less like a fight for justice and more like a desperate attempt to stay in control. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni wasn't backing down. He hit back with a massive countersuit, and he didn't just go after Blake. He included Ryan Reynolds and the PR firm that allegedly helped spread the damaging stories. This wasn't just about clearing his name. He was suing for hundreds of millions of dollars, proving he was serious. As the case unfolded, he brought forward even more evidence, making Blake's claims look weaker by the day.
I spoke to a source yesterday who told me that he's being deposed in this whole thing. He says it's Blake.
It quickly became obvious that Blake's story wasn't holding up. She even tried to drag other actresses, like Jenny Slade and Isabella Ferrer, into the controversy, suggesting they had issues with Justin too. But that plan backfired completely. Neither of them supported her claims. In fact, one of them publicly thanked Justin for making her feel safe on set, making Blake's accusations look even more suspicious. Then came one of the biggest surprises: Ryan Reynolds' involvement. At first, Ryan and Justin were on good terms, but things were about to take a dramatic turn.
We all think, that humorous skit, humorous, not really that humorous, that Ryan Reynolds put together. Ryan's mom, Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman? What is Hugh Jackman doing in all this? You are a serious A-list actor.
Leaked texts showed Ryan Reynolds once praised Justin Baldoni, calling him a great director. But then, out of nowhere, Ryan flipped sides. The moment Blake started making serious accusations against Justin, Ryan stood by her, even when the evidence didn't add up. To many, this seemed like a desperate attempt to keep his wife happy, rather than an honest stance on the situation. Hollywood insiders speculated that Ryan feared the backlash if he didn't support Blake's claims. He didn't want to be seen as a husband who wouldn't defend his wife, but in doing so, he came off as weak and inauthentic.
Our friend Steph with the Deets pointed that out on TikTok. Blake directed that whole skit. This is a movie about domestic violence. Why are we doing skits like "you're trying to sleep with my wife? It's really weird. You're trying to replace my best friend," says Hugh Jackman.
Piers Morgan didn't hold back. He ripped into both Blake and Ryan, calling them narcissists who believed they could manipulate the media and public opinion. He highlighted how Blake went from America's sweetheart to one of the most disliked figures in Hollywood practically overnight. Once known for her charming image, Blake now appeared to be someone who used underhanded tactics to take down a director who wouldn't let her run the entire film set on her terms. In a final attempt to regain public sympathy, she tried to spin the controversy into a fight for women's empowerment and feminism. But not everyone was buying it.
Poor Hugh has got some serious remorse about participating in this, I have to imagine.
Blake tried to paint Justin as a villain determined to silence her, but the facts told a different story. Instead of standing up against real injustice, it seemed like she simply wanted full control, and when she didn't get it, she threw out. The most damaging accusation she could think of, expecting blind support. But her claims didn't hold up under scrutiny. True advocates for feminism and justice saw right through her. Even some who might have supported her in another situation began to distance themselves, realizing she was weaponizing a serious issue just to gain leverage in a business dispute.
He goes to South by Southwest. He mumbles through whatever answers they ask him on the red carpet.
People quickly distanced themselves from Blake, unwilling to support someone who twists serious issues for personal gain. But what really shocked everyone was how she promoted a film about domestic abuse in the most tone-deaf way possible. She encouraged audiences to gather friends, wear pretty dresses, and turn it into a fun night out, as if a movie on such a heavy topic was some casual event. To make matters worse, she linked her alcohol brand to the film as if a story about abuse should be celebrated with cocktails. The move was so out of touch that even her own fans were appalled.
He goes to the Vanity Fair after party. He mumbles through whatever questions they ask him about. And he's sitting there with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, Deadpool and Wolverine, two giant stars. And they're like, this is going to be really funny. I'm going to attack you for being into my wife.
Critics called her tone deaf, which was a polite way of saying she had no awareness of how real survivors of abuse would feel. Her actions made her seem selfish and out of touch, as if she only cared about her own image and business ventures rather than the serious issue at hand. Meanwhile, the lawsuit spiraled into a massive legal battle. Justin hit back with a major countersuit, demanding a huge sum of money. He accused Blake, Ryan, and their PR team of actively trying to destroy his reputation. He also presented evidence of them interfering with the script, attempting to rewrite scenes, and even trying to take control of the entire production.
Little Billy Bush is going to say, okay, because I want to be like you guys one day. I get it. So I just see that poor bastard. I'm like, I hope you get to the place where you can say no at some point.
This didn't look like the actions of someone who was just a victim. It looked like someone who wanted complete control. And when things didn't go her way, she threw a tantrum, behavior more fitting for a schoolyard dispute than a professional. Film set. Ryan got dragged even deeper into the mess. Reports surfaced that he had pressured Justin to alter the film to fit his and Blake's vision. When Justin refused, Ryan allegedly lost his temper. But once the lawsuit became public, Ryan suddenly acted as if he had been on Blake's side all along. Then, even more private messages leaked, exposing what was really going on behind the scenes.
The allegations and the complaints say, once the 17-point list was agreed to, everything from then on was fine. There were no issues. So when you talk about on the set, all of the sex scenes and all of that,
it became painfully clear that Ryan was caught in the middle. But instead of staying neutral, he did whatever Blake wanted. Some saw this as a betrayal of a friend, while others believed he felt trapped with no way out. Either way, it wasn't a good look for him, especially now that he's also facing a massive lawsuit worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Meanwhile, Blake kept grasping at anything that could repair her public image. She even bragged about her and Ryan's power, calling him a dragon who would destroy Justin. But instead of making her seem strong, it just made her look even more desperate.
So even in her own CRD complaint and in her own initial filed complaint, it says that everything was fine from that point on.
Blake seemed to think of herself as some kind of untouchable queen, summoning a mythical beast, her husband, to destroy anyone who opposed her. But instead of Justin getting burned, her entire plan backfired. The public saw her manipulative tactics, and they turned against her. As more court documents surfaced, her web of lies unraveled. She would say one thing in her lawsuit, but her own text messages told a completely different story. Blake painted Justin as a monster on set, yet privately praised his work. She claimed to be terrified, but behind the scenes, her words showed no fear at all. That's when the internet gave her a new name, Blake Heard, drawing comparisons to Amber Heard, another actress who lost public trust after trying to twist the truth.
So now we're really limited to nothing more ultimately than was there a smear campaign.
Yes. Okay. Well, she could claim that there was harassment before the agreement.
The comparison to Amber Heard was far from flattering, but it stuck. And for good reason. Blake kept insisting she was the real victim, but victims don't get caught in lies over and over again. You can't claim innocence while secretly editing messages, twisting narratives, and removing evidence that proves you once respected the person you're accusing. Genuine victims don't need to dig through years of someone's private life searching for dirt. They don't orchestrate PR attacks against someone and then play the victim when the media uncovers damaging truths about them instead. Blake also tried to frame herself as a champion for women, claiming she was speaking out to protect others from Justin's so-called behavior. But when two of the women she dragged into the story were asked about it, they had no idea what she was even talking about.
But the breach of contract claim would be relevant only for the smear campaign.
Jenny Slate and Isabella Ferrer had nothing but positive things to say about Justin, completely contradicting Blake's claims. It became obvious that she had tried to paint a false narrative, one where multiple actresses were supposedly mistreated, but her story fell apart when they refused to back her up. That made her look even worse. The entire internet turned against her, calling her out for her dishonesty. People started questioning how she had gotten away with making false accusations for so long. Many believed she was just used to constant praise for her fashion, beauty, and high-profile relationship with Ryan. Maybe she thought no one would ever challenge her, but the moment she went too far, the truth caught up with her. She had no real explanation for why her lawsuit told one story while her private messages told another. Watching her struggle to spin the situation was like watching someone dig themselves into a hole, only to try covering it up with even more lies.
And when you look at the harassment and what you're talking about, there were certain things that were alleged in the pleadings that she calls harassment.
At first, Blake and Ryan's fans rushed to defend them, insisting that Justin was attacking them for no reason. But as more evidence surfaced, the tone shifted. Suddenly, those same fans either went silent or admitted they had been fooled by Blake's carefully crafted image. The illusion of her being a cheerful, harmless star crumbled under the weight of leaked documents and damning proof. Even other celebrities who once stood by her wanted no part of the controversy. They distanced themselves from the lawsuit, stopped mentioning her on social media, and avoided getting caught in the toxic fallout. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni saw a wave of support from Hollywood. People vouched for his character, calling him a respectful and dedicated professional who truly valued his work and treated those around him well. Blake tried to paint him as the villain, but the evidence told a different story, one that most people weren't willing to ignore. In the end, her accusations seemed less like a pursuit of justice and more like a desperate attempt to control the film. She came across as someone willing to destroy another person's reputation just to hold on to power.
And that will be the subject of that matter. Was that reported? What was that exactly? There were some references to the dancing scene that
Yep.
the
intimacy stuff. Yes.
Then came the bombshell. Justin hit them with a $400 million lawsuit. That's no small sum. It was a bold declaration that he wasn't going to sit back and let them destroy his name. One by one, he dismantled their claims, backing everything, up with hard proof that exposed how Blake had twisted the facts. People were stunned by Blake's audacity, thinking she could bully Justin and rewrite the narrative to fit her version of events. But she miscalculated. Badly. Now she's trapped in a legal nightmare that could wreck her career, or at the very least, leave it permanently damaged. And honestly, most people think she brought it on herself. While Blake tried to cast herself as a fearless champion, many pointed out that real champions don't fabricate stories or drag innocent people down with them. Real champions don't cry about injustice while actively distorting the truth for their own gain. Her meltdown wasn't just public. It was so over the top that it almost seemed like she forgot what era we're living in.
Can you say with certainty that your client did not harass her?
I can say that with certainty that my client is one of the most honorable people I've ever met, is true and genuine, that without question.
In the age of the internet, there's no hiding behind half-truths. Text messages and emails can be shared in seconds, and once the receipts are out, there's no taking them back. Some people joke that this lawsuit isn't just a legal battle, it's the story of a woman who thought she was starring in a revenge fantasy, only to end up exposing her own worst traits for the world to see. Maybe she believed her fans would stand by her no matter what. Maybe she assumed that her friendship with Taylor Swift and marriage to Ryan Reynolds would act as a shield. But that shield shattered the moment the facts came out. And as the drama unfolded, disbelief turned into outright laughter. People were stunned that Blake promoted a movie about AB in such a careless, tone-deaf way. She told audiences to treat it like a fun night out. Dress up, bring friends, like it was some lighthearted rom-com. Then, as if that wasn't bad enough, she used the opportunity to push her alcohol brand, as if mixing booze with a story about AB was some genius marketing move. Most people didn't just find it out of touch, they found it downright disgusting.
Now, whether she felt harassed or not is one thing, but does it rise to the legal definition of harassment? And the answer to that is no.
And again, this is a point he's made before and it hasn't really changed. He says no harassment.
It was a complete disconnect from the seriousness of the issue. Everything she did was about her brand, never about the real victims. And Ryan Reynolds didn't exactly come out looking like the good guy either. Instead of stepping in or urging her to be honest, he jumped right into the chaos with her. He tried to spin the narrative in her favor, even sneaking in a jab at Justin in a Marvel movie script. At least, and that's what people believe. But rather than being clever, it came off as petty and immature, something straight out of a high. School drama, not a major Hollywood production. Now everyone is wondering, will Blake turn on Ryan next? She has a habit of blaming everyone else for her problems, so it wouldn't be shocking if she suddenly needed a scapegoat. If the court rules that her claims don't hold up, she might start pointing fingers at Ryan, claiming he pushed her into it or even made her lie. At this point, the real question is whether there's actual proof of a smear campaign. Meanwhile, Piers Morgan is having a field day. He's been watching Blake's downfall like it's his favorite show, calling out every contradiction, every slip-up, every falsehood. He hasn't held back, labeling her a narcissist, and plenty of people agree. Critics have even drawn comparisons to the Amber Heard scandal. Just like Amber tried to frame Johnny Depp as an AB monster without solid proof, Blake seemed to be running the same playbook, assuming people would believe her without evidence. But reality hit hard. The facts didn't add up, and now she's trapped in a lawsuit that could strip away not just a massive chunk of her fortune, but whatever respect she had left.
Their issue is going to be more, can they prove that there was a smear campaign?
That's exactly the kind of person she comes across as. Someone who wouldn't think twice before throwing others under the bus to save herself. Piers Morgan was absolutely thrilled watching it all unfold. To him, Blake's meltdown was just another example of celebrities being way too full of themselves. Every time she slipped up or got caught in another lie, he was quick to call it out. It was like watching a never-ending cycle of her own stories unraveling. He didn't hold back, labeling her a narcissist. And he wasn't alone. Many viewers felt the same. Critics even drew comparisons to the Amber Heard controversy. Just like Amber tried to paint Johnny Depp as a monster without solid proof, only for it to blow up in her face, Blake seemed to be pulling a similar move, making claims, hoping people would believe her, but the facts just didn't add up. Eventually, she got exposed. Now, she's staring down a massive lawsuit that could strip away not just a big chunk of her fortune, but also whatever respect she had left.
What's interesting is, of course, Matthew Baldoni, a reporter, he can kind of speak towards what's common protocol with these journalists and what's not. And even he says, yeah, it's pretty shady that the New York Times would only give him several hours to respond.
Blake and Ryan were once seen as the ultimate power couple, a picture-perfect family admired by many. But now, that image lies in shambles, torn apart by social media backlash and legal battles. People no longer see them as Hollywood sweethearts. Instead, they're viewed as a duo willing to twist the truth just to protect their public brand. And no one wants to be associated with that. Other actors and producers are quietly distancing themselves, refusing to get dragged into the chaos. It's obvious a brutal downfall, but also a cautionary tale on what happens when you mistreat people. Justin Baldoni wasn't about to let Blake's fabricated stories ruin him. He fought back, bringing receipts to prove she wasn't telling the truth. And the more evidence he laid out, the worse she looked. Her carefully crafted victim narrative collapsed like a house of cards in a storm. As Blake watched public opinion turn against her, she scrambled in desperation, adding even more pages to her lawsuit in a last-ditch effort to regain control.
Have a listen. You with 14, 15 hours to respond. And that may not seem like a lot, but in media, that's not bad.
She threw in extra accusations at the last minute, hoping something would stick. But people aren't that gullible anymore. Piling on sudden claims doesn't make you look truthful. It makes you look desperate, like you're scrambling for a way out. Both the court and the public saw right through it, and it only shattered her credibility even more. If she ends up owing Justin a massive sum, that could be the final nail in the coffin. She might try to shift the blame, calling the system unfair or claiming the judge was biased, but no one's going to fall for it. She created this mess, and now she's running out of ways to escape it. People are watching closely, wondering if she'll turn on Ryan or throw another big name under the bus. But if she does, it'll only make her look even worse. This whole fiasco has proven one thing loud and clear: the days of celebrities lying and expecting blind support are officially over.
A lot of those are sleep hours.
Okay.
For those that sleep. A lot of those are on a holiday weekend on a Friday night.
Yes.
At 9 o'clock at night.
In the age of social media and digital records, there's no escaping the truth. Change your story, and people will notice. Try to erase old posts, and screenshots will resurface. Public statements and private messages will be compared. And if they don't line up, it's game over. Blake learned that lesson the hard way. Despite the chaos, she still refuses to admit she's lying. She keeps insisting she's the victim, that she was wronged, that she's simply standing up for herself. But with every new piece of evidence, her defense crumbles even further. A handful of loyal fans might still believe her, but for most, the picture is clear. She wasn't seeking justice. She was trying to manipulate the media and the legal system. And no matter how hard she tries, she's no hero.
That is, I will give you that. That is a shady move. If you're working on a story for months and you're giving somebody notice on a Friday night, that's a pretty shady move. Doesn't make it defamation, but it does make it a little skeezy.
And she is not someone people look up to anymore. Every day more people find out about her actions and realize she is not the charming star they once imagined. It gets worse with each new leak, each new text message, each new piece of evidence. Blake appears, more and more like someone who believes her own lies. Her meltdown is the talk of the town, and it is a harsh reminder that no one is above the truth. No matter how famous they might be, some even speculate that if she loses badly in court, she might face further legal troubles for making false statements or wasting the court's time with a baseless lawsuit. That would be the nail in the coffin for her career. Hollywood does not have much patience for people who break the law or lie under oath. If that is where this is heading, Blake has only herself to blame. Piers Morgan said she's finished. Many people agree. Others think she might try to stage some kind of comeback in a few years, but it will be very hard for her to rebuild trust. The only question left is how long she will keep up the fight before she finally admits she does not have a winning case. She may never admit it. Some people would rather go down in flames than confess they were wrong. Meanwhile, we can all watch this drama unfold. It seems far from over. Each week, new details emerge that paint Blake in an even worse light. She keeps showing us just how far she will go to stay in control. And it is not pretty. She blames others, changes her story, and tries to paint Justin and others as villains. But the truth continues to point at her as the mastermind behind this whole twisted plot. Sooner or later, a judge or a jury will make a final ruling, and then we will see if she can still spin it in her favor. But even if she tries, the public is not going to believe her. She has cried wolf too many times. She has twisted facts and released only the parts of conversations that fit her story. She has tried to drag big names. Blake Lively is no longer the admired star she once was. Each day, more people uncover the truth about her actions, realizing the carefully curated image she projected was nothing more than an illusion. With every leaked message and exposed detail, she appears less like a victim and more like someone trapped in her own deception. Her downfall has become the biggest spectacle in Hollywood, a stark reminder that even the most powerful celebrities can't outrun the truth. Speculation is growing that if she loses in court, she could face further legal trouble for false statements or wasting judicial time. If that happens, it won't just be a career setback, it will be the end. Hollywood has little patience for those who manipulate the system, and if Blake thought she could spin this in her favor, she was wrong. Piers Morgan has already declared her finished, and many agree. Others believe she may attempt a comeback years from now, but rebuilding trust after a scandal of this scale will be nearly impossible. The real question now is, how long will she keep fighting before she finally admits defeat? Maybe never. Some Some people would rather destroy everything around them than acknowledge they were wrong. Meanwhile, the public watches as the chaos continues to unfold. New details surface weekly, painting an even uglier picture. Her relentless efforts to control the narrative only serve to expose how far she's willing to go. She blames others, twists facts, and attempts to cast Justin and others as villains. But the truth is clear. She orchestrated this entire mess. Sooner or later, a judge or jury will deliver the final verdict, and then we'll see if she tries to spin it yet again. But at this point, the public isn't buying it. She's cried wolf too many times, manipulated evidence, and only released selective information to suit her version of events. She's tried dragging major names into her scandal, but most have distanced themselves, not wanting to be part of this train wreck. In the end, Blake Lively will have to face the consequences of her own actions. What could have been a simple dispute turned into a full-blown crisis because she insisted on controlling the narrative. Instead of being seen as the innocent party, she's been exposed as someone willing to twist reality for her own gain. And the fallout isn't just affecting her, it's rippling through Hollywood. Insiders whisper about her behind-the-scenes influence, with rumors suggesting she's been pulling strings for years. Discussions in industry circles have raised questions about her role in Ryan Reynolds' public controversies, with some believing she played a bigger part than anyone realized. High-level producers have begun sharing unsettling accounts of sudden contract changes, bizarre demands, and unexplained conflicts linked to the power couple. One anonymous producer recounted a tense meeting for a project meant to rival Marvel's dominance. Ryan reportedly became uncharacteristically aggressive over trivial creative decisions, only for the producer to receive a call from Blake's team afterward, warning them to fall in line or risk being shut out of the project. While there was no direct proof tying Blake to the call, the timing was suspicious. Stories like this are surfacing more frequently, with many insiders now convinced she has mastered the art of manipulating situations from the shadows while keeping herself insulated from backlash. Even within the Marvel Universe, cracks are beginning to show. Robert Downey Jr. allegedly noticed inconsistencies in Ryan's behavior during promotional events, fluctuating between his usual charm and sudden, inexplicable aggression. At first, Downey assumed it was stress, but he soon picked up on a pattern. Ryan's outbursts often came shortly after taking discreet phone calls. Curious, Downey discreetly asked colleagues about their experiences working with the lively Reynolds duo, and nearly every story pointed back to one common denominator: Blake. While Downey has refrained from making any public statements, sources suggest he grew increasingly wary of Blake's influence. According to insiders, he eventually confronted Ryan about it, urging him to recognize who was truly pulling the strings. But instead of responding, Ryan reportedly shut down, left the room abruptly, and cut off communication with Downey for a brief period. As this tangled web unravels, Hollywood executives are taking notice. The once unshakable image of Blake and Ryan as the industry's golden couple is crumbling under the weight of these revelations. More and more insiders are coming forward, revealing a carefully constructed narrative of control, deception, and manipulation. For years, Blake Lively crafted an image of sweetness and stability, while allegedly fueling Ryan's worst impulses from the shadows. But now, as the walls close in and the public finally sees the bigger picture, her grip on her own carefully. Controlled story is slipping. Hollywood is watching. And soon, the final verdict will be delivered, not just in court, but in the court of public opinion. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. The hidden truth behind Hollywood's power. Couple in Hollywood, rumors are spreading about Blake Lively's behind-the-scenes control. While she appears graceful and charming in public, insiders claim she has a strong influence, especially over her husband, Ryan Reynolds. People who worked on a recent film say Blake insisted on approving every outfit for her female co-star. She even made sure some outfits were changed to look less flattering. A costume designer revealed that her team demanded final approval over how any supporting actress would appear next to her. Those who disagreed were pushed aside. But it wasn't just about costumes. On set, Ryan often requested last-minute script changes, removing funny lines from other actors to make himself stand out. At first, it seemed like Ryan's decision, but when paired with Blake's strict control over visuals, people started to see a pattern. It looked like a coordinated effort, with Blake pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Blake's silence speaks volumes. When celebrities face controversy, they usually respond quickly to defend themselves. But Blake has stayed quiet. Instead, she posts happy, polished pictures, ignoring the scandals completely. A PR expert explained that this is a smart tactic. By not responding, she avoids making the controversy bigger. Meanwhile, Ryan takes all the heat, making him look like the only one responsible. Some insiders believe this silence isn't just a strategy, it's part of a bigger plan. Let Ryan take the blame while she stays untouchable. Tension at home rumors are also growing about their marriage. While they appear happy in public, sources say things are very different behind closed doors. A friend who has been to their house described an intense atmosphere, where even casual conversations are carefully planned to avoid bad press. Everything is controlled, even at family events. One guest at a backyard barbecue saw Blake rearrange seating, just so no unflattering pictures could be taken. When asked about it, she just smiled and changed the subject. For most people, this might seem small, but those who know her say it's proof of how much control she wants. At home, on set, and in the public eye. The Marvel effect. The controversy is now affecting Hollywood's biggest franchise, Marvel. Ryan Reynolds was supposed to be a key player in future movies, but now insiders say executives are having second thoughts. Robert Downey Jr. and other Marvel stars are reportedly worried about Blake's influence on Ryan's decisions. A top studio executive put it simply, "We can't risk hundreds of millions of dollars on a situation that feels unstable." No official statements have been made, but Hollywood studios prefer safe choices. If Ryan and Blake's personal drama continues to cause problems, studios might look for other actors to replace them. The meltdown Ryan's downfall is loud. Public arguments, negative headlines, and reports of bad behavior on set. Blake's meltdown is quieter, but possibly more damaging. She has worked for years to build a perfect image, but now people are questioning if it was all an illusion. Hollywood has seen this happen before. When stars try too hard to control everything, the truth eventually comes out. If Blake has been secretly managing things for years, this scandal could destroy her reputation for good. Even if she escapes with little damage, people will always wonder, is she really the sweet, stylish actress she claims to be? Or is she a mastermind behind the scenes? As for Ryan, the big question remains. Can he break free and rebuild his career? Or is he too deep in the chaos? Hollywood loves a comeback, but it loves a downfall even more. Right now, all eyes are on Blake and Ryan, waiting to see if their empire will survive or crumble.